My name is Samantha Lane, and I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing here at the SE Shires Company. For today's super fun Shires TV episode, we have the one and only Hiram Diaz, coming to you from Virginia, Maryland? Maryland, yeah.
Silver Spring.
DMV, it's great. So we're really excited to show off Hiram's playing and pedagogical thinking, and also our Shires Q series Euphonium, the Q41S, and Hiram actually helped us develop this instrument. So it's kind of fun being able to pick his brain a little bit about euphonium playing, euphonium as an instrument, and we were just even chatting about brass bands and the importance of brass bands right before we jumped on here. So maybe get into that a little bit too. But just another couple quick little things. I'm going to throw a link. Hi, Brandon from Pomona. I'm going to throw a link really quick so you guys can check out the euphonium that we're going to be talking about. And then this is also, because it's part of our Q series, we're still doing a rebate through the end of the year for North America. So it's $100 off and 18-month financing available through select dealers. So it's a really good opportunity to be able to pull the trigger, no pun intended, a little bit of pun intended, on the euphonium that you've been looking for. So if you want more information about that, I'll link that as well. But now, without further ado, Hiram, I know you have a piece that you're going to play for us too.
Yeah, sure. So, hi everybody, and thank you for joining us. I was just talking to Sam about this piece that I recently played in a live stream recital, and it's a piece by Percy Code, and it's an Australian composer, and we're really lucky that we also have Matt Van Emmerich on board in the Shires team, and he put these and set these up in a nice collection, the complete solo repertoire of Percy Code. Matt Van Emmerich publishes, really nice. These are really great solos. I was just going to play a little bit on my horn here that I've had since, well, I've had this since last November. So about a November, 2 Novembers ago, not this past November. And really been enjoying this horn. And I'll just play you a little portion of it. I'm going to pop my headphones off here.
All the applause.
Thanks, thanks, thanks,
All
thanks,
the
thanks.
applause.
Really nice piece. Matt actually has a CD that comes with all of the
It's
accompaniments.
amazing.
So I'm playing along to an actual live musician who played these with Matt, and it's really well done. But obviously, I have like timestamps written in here, which is why you saw me looking over. But yeah, it's really, really nice. I hope that came out. Did that come across okay?
No, it sounded great, and hopefully we can do a little bit more of it too in a
Yeah.
little while. I was saying to Hiram right before we got on here that at Shires we're working on this new video project that will hopefully be out soon for everybody to watch. It's a little bit about the company and how we make instruments. And I had this stuck in my head after hearing Hiram his live stream recital, so we kind of worked this into the mix too because it's such a
Awesome.
great piece. So yeah.
Yes. Yes. Perfect for advanced high school, early college. These are great, great recital pieces. So yeah.
So maybe, actually, speaking of your recital, we'll share if you're okay with it, maybe we can share the link to it. But can you tell us a little bit about how you went about preparing for that in the middle of a global pandemic and that whole process? Because that's a pretty exciting thing.
So first of all, the I am terrible at choosing easy recitals. I will say that. I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were talking about how bad I am at picking easy music because all of the things that I have purchased as I look around, none of them are very easy. But this thank goodness for these three pieces that I played in the recital. So I was contacted by a pianist who works with an arts organization here in Washington, D.C. And I hope that some of this kind of rings true for the listening audience right now, thinking about how you can also play for arts organizations in and around your own city. So this is an arts organization here in DC. It's called the Washington Metropolitan Philharmonic Association. I remembered it. And they've had a 30-year long or 30 season chamber recital series that they were unwilling to give up. There's just so many people who like to watch and participate and attend these recitals, so they wanted to keep this recital series going. And my pianist had played a couple of solo piano recitals, and we had met in Cincinnati. She played an accompaniment for me in a recital that I did at the University of Cincinnati as well. And I knew that she had learned the Cosme Euphonium Concerto for me once before, so she could handle it on very short rehearsal. So we rehearsed in her home, just the two of us, and then we rehearsed maybe 2 or 3 times, and then went to, it's basically the upper floor of a museum, and there was all we had in there was a page turner, the pianist, myself, and a videographer and a sound engineer, and that's it, and it was kind of an interesting thing performing for no one, understanding that people would be listening to this in the future.
That's
So
wild.
it is a wild kind of. Obviously, it's the gist of it is live, but it's live-ish. This is, I'm just going to run through a recital, and then they're going to put this package together, and then this is kind of what's happening a lot with socially distanced performances right now, where people are just kind of, okay, well, let's at least put this on, and then we'll see it later, and then we can stream it. Remember, streaming also means that you have to have a really good internet connection, which is a gamble in and of itself. So if you want a great product, you record it, then you upload it, and then you stream it. I think that's basically what we did. But it was very fun. I hadn't played a full-length recital like that since, I couldn't tell you. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've done a full.
It was amazing to watch it and to see the varied repertoire that you had on there, and it was like pretty inspiring. I mean, Hiram and I will chat occasionally about the work that he does in the Marine Band, and so that's a very different side of it right now because they are still playing and they still have their responsibilities that they're upholding during this time. But then on the artistic side, to be able to go out and play a really incredible recital, it was very good.
Thank you.
But then to have that be on that weird socially distanced live stream, but for later kind of thing. And Hiram, just one really quick thing. I just got a note from a colleague. If you can maybe talk a little bit louder. Okay, I don't know if that's possible, but
it is
okay.
Very much so.
Okay, cool.
Boom. How's that?
Oh man, nailed it. That's perfect. Um, yeah, no, it was, and if you're cool with it, we'll share the whole link to the recital.
Sure.
But it was really fun to
Absolutely.
watch. That's awesome. So, these things have been really fun because it's a great way for so many of us musicians to get to hear from professional musicians about their approach, their pedagogical thoughts on playing and practicing, what they're doing during this time.
Right.
So, we've done some clinics with you before, and they're always really fantastic because you cover you make everything seem so relatable, which
Oh,
I
good.
always love.
Oh, good.
So I'd love to pick your brain a little bit about maybe what you're doing for practicing or what you would be working on with or suggesting inspiring you playing.
Sure, sure. Right now, I am so lucky to have accumulated dozens and dozens and dozens of books. And I love playing lots and lots of different things. As euphonium players, oftentimes we are studying with others who are not euphonium players themselves. So tuba players, trombone players, sometimes even trumpet players, your band director. And one of the things I think that gets missed about euphonium playing is how many notes we actually play. We play so many notes, and it's something that is in our parts from a very early from the get-go. You know, when you're playing concert band music, and let's say you're playing grade level music, grade level 3, grade level 4, that euphonium part is complicated already beyond what the trombones or the tubas might be doing, because we might be with the bassoons or the saxophones. So there's already a need to be very dexterous and having lots and lots of ability to not only sight read, but to go through a vast amount of just looking at something that is complicated and digesting it rather quickly. And I think that's why I've been successful to this point, is that I love to digest notes and see them for the first time and see, how am I not only sight reading, but can I give this sight reading an incredible sense of direction and sight read in the correct style. And so when I look around at my piles of music, I'm not a very organized person, but I look around at my melodious etudes and my Brad Edwards Lipslers and my Bordonis and my Arbins and then my clarinet etudes, and I have the Bach cello suites, and I have about 30 euphonium concertos. And most of what I do, if I'm actually practicing for something, then I will practice that. But since none of us are practicing for anything really in particular, or many of us are not, then it's important to just eat music.
Like as so versatile as possible.
Yes, and the versatility will come in from you just from one composer to the next, whether it be a modern English composer, or a modern American composer, or a modern French composer, or dead composers that are popular for another instrument, or whether it's a bassoon etude book like the Milde. I'm going to be
All the Bastunian.
yeah,
All
I don't know how to pronounce that bassoon etude book. It's Milde. But reading out of that one, reading out of clarinet etude books, reading treble, reading the Blazevich studies in clefs, just kind of keeping your eyes and your ears and your brain ready for, well, not ready, but just having a lot of fun. For me, it's a lot of fun to digest all. So that's what I've been doing. That's really what I've been doing. Really early on in the pandemic, I posted 27 different euphonium concertos on Instagram. I posted like a snippet of all the ones that I have. And what I did was I would practice the entire thing and then go back and say, okay, that's pretty good. Let me record that, and just kind of post it so I could show people. It's like you kind of just have to go for it, and you have to try things, and you have to be, it's got to suck too. You got to, push through the suck, push through the hard. And I did that a lot. And now what I'm doing is my etude books, because I have so very many etude books. And actually my laptop, so I could have it up a little bit higher, is propped up on,
a library full.
yes, a library. Yes, the Charlier, the Melodious Etudes, Brahms symphonies, the Bach cello suites, the Mozart clarinet concertos under there. So you see what I'm saying? Like I'm lucky that I have acquired these things in physical form, but for those that haven't, there's so many pieces of music that are available for free on imslp.org. I hope at this point everybody is hip to this website. And everything that's public domain, and please don't just Google or IMSLP euphonium.
Yeah.
You should IMSLP cello and bassoon and play along to the cello part in ranging from Baroque music all the way to Romantic music. Play all those cello parts. Play the cello part to Eine kleine Nachtmusik with the Berlin Phil,
Oh my gosh.
or play all the way to Heldenleben. I think Heldenleben is public domain at this point, but I have seen the cello part. I'm pretty sure it is. So get the cello part to Heldenleben, not just the euphonium part, but the cello part, and play along to Chicago. It's all these pieces of music are posted. You just Google it, and you don't have to practice anymore at that point. That's barely practicing. That's just having a good time following along. That's how I've kept myself in shape. I really enjoy playing so much, and it's such a bummer. Yesterday I did brass ensemble music at the White House, and it's really is, even though this music is not high art and it's just hymns, Christmas music, or "Oh Christmas Tree," or "Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer," or "Up on the Housetop." But even though we're doing that, or "The Holly and the Ivy," these very simple settings as well, 4 or 5 part settings, it's still really rewarding to play with other people. I miss it so much, so very much, to play in band and large ensemble. So I just put on these headphones. I have these studio style headphones that don't really block out sound. They don't have any solid back to them. So I put these on. I put on Berlin playing Brahms 3 and play the cello part. And just like, all right, I'm having a great time.
Sounds like a great time. Sounds
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. So what about like routine for you? So what comprises like your foundation and your fundamentals?
I I have there's a gentleman by the name of Joseph Alessi who has this great online
Oh,
resource called the Alessi Studios. I think that's what it's called.
yeah, Leslie Music Studios.
Alessi Music Studios.
Yeah,
And he has this routine. It's really, really huge and really, really great for strengthening, and it's massive. And I love it because you can play with him on the other side of the speaker. You hear his sound, and I'm not saying that euphonium players should sound like trombone players, but with that kind of density and clarity and direction and intonation and consistency, those are things that are all not unique to the trombone. We're not talking about making a trombone sound. You're already playing a conical instrument. It's just not going to happen, right? But you can play with that kind of clarity, sustain, rich, dense sound, consistency of sound in all registers. I love doing that. So I play a lot of that stuff that he has there. But that's really what I love to take out of those is the lip flexibilities and the skipping. What's it called? If interval studies. So that's mostly, I do that stuff out of the Arbans. So one of the things I've said this to a million different people, but I hate making a bad sound first note of the day. I just can't stand it. And I feel like it colors, especially for my students and people I've talked to, when you have a bad chop day, like it just doesn't feel right.
totally.
And that's
Well,
completely normal. Whether you had a really late night the night before, you ate super salty breakfast or super salty Mexican food the night before, or you're really tired, you're dehydrated. There's 1,000 different reasons. Or it's really hot out, or it's really cold out. Or we such tiny group of muscles here, and I recently heard someone say this. A consistent routine is important, but you're not working for the consistency of the routine. You're working for the consistency of the playing, you know, right? You're not
Love
looking
it.
for a consistent, like you do this thing over and over and you might sound terrible, but at least you're doing it. That's not okay, you know? So I hate making a bad sound first notes of the day. And one of the things that I do is this. And it's just this. And okay, so let me explain a little bit about half valving.
Love it.
And I've been spreading this all over the country, and I wonder if anybody on Facebook has any questions about this. But I've been talking to people about how this helps me hear a student break up the air and break up the flow of notes. Lots of times, I mean, I think a lot of things that separate amateurs from professionals or students from people who want jobs is just song, and they can just play song. They can sustain, they can carry through notes. And this really helps point it out. But also, so I'm talking about the beginning of the very, very first notes are not even really notes. They're helping my lips warm up as closely as I can to actually playing. I know that buzzing has become fairly controversial as of late.
Yeah.
Buzzing has become fairly controversial as of late, and you know, I'm not an avid buzzer. I don't buzz every single day. Sometimes I buzz, you know, if I'm in the car and I see my mouthpiece sitting there, you know, it's like, why not? But buzzing is like, for me, when you see football players training with a sled, they put weights on the sled, right? And then basketball players, they put bands on their legs. The bands around the knees, and they crab walk. They sidestep, and they're training those outside muscles, right? While, you know, doing drills. And then baseball players, they'll put weights on their bat, right? They'll swing a weighted bat around and then take that off. So I kind of think that that's what buzzing is.
Interesting. Let's
So
see.
it's like what athletes do that is not, you would never play football with a sled attached to you. And I don't think that this is how I play the instrument, but it helps me figure out the vibration and the vibrating surface. And I don't advocate for doing it a lot, but I advocate for it for being super glissando, a buzzy buzz, and really like very, very full of air. Just lots and lots of air movement. And then if immediately into the horn, because if you buzz too much, it's hard on your chops, it's weird on your chops, it does weird things. It's not playing. And I'm sure everyone's done this demonstration where if you play a note and you pull the horn away, the note's gone, right?
Hmm.
Right? The note's already gone. So I know that they're not the same, but I know that I do have to create a buzz. I know I'm creating a vibration. I know that this thing is only amplifying that vibration. So if I can remind myself of that through buzzing, not very much, and not all the time. That's my whole thing about buzzing. I think it's a tool. It's just a tool.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it either. Like I don't think every football player trains with a sled, you know. They're looking for that explosiveness, right? Isn't that what that is? And then when you're doing a weighted bat, you're looking for more strength and speed through. Yeah.
No, that
Cool.
makes sense. I like that. I like that we arrived at this place together.
Oh, good.
Like we figured it out. I mean,
Yeah.
so your foundation, your fundamentals, does it shift day to day then, based on what you feel like you need?
Yes, what I feel like I need.
Yeah.
And so let's say if I take a week off, I have a really consistent thing that I do, which is in the Arbans and loads of Remington lip slurs. And that's if I feel like I have to work things back up. I never play extreme register things the very beginning of taking some time off. I just like to make things, well, maybe I do, but I don't go after it.
Yeah, not
Right, but I like to just play songs, loads and loads of songs, all the songs in the Arbans. There's hundreds of them, and lots of lip slurs. I feel sometimes we get stuck in this mentality that we do our warm up and then we do our etudes and our solos and our excerpts, and they none of them blend into each other,
yeah.
which is a fallacy. We should definitely do our lip slurs in between all of this playing. Like if you feel like you're playing an etude in A flat major and you're having trouble going from the high A flat to the E flat because it's not a super comfortable lip slur for you, then you need to do some lip slurs in the middle of that etude. If you're playing, let's see, Tungi Euphonium excerpt, festival variations, and you're having trouble doing slur 2 tongue 2, then you need to go to your Clark studies and do da 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 da. What's a little tidbit that I like to do with the Clark studies, I'll play just a little bit of that so you can
Yeah.
hear, and I'll speak into the microphone. You should, when you play your Clark studies, especially Clark 2, I think this is Clark 2, I never remember, you should also do them switching the slur around and then switching the beat around. So kind of like this. This is an F, or let's do E flat. So you can move the slur everywhere. And then doing it in more difficult keys as well is really great for your fingers, involving the third valve. Yeah, there you go. So I should probably practice that too.
No.
Yeah. So making sure you can. That's the whole thing for me. What I'm really trying to say is, do I have a routine? Sort of, and there's lots and lots of things that I normally play, but what's more true is that I will do lip slurs. I don't know which ones they're going to be. I will do long tones. I don't know which ones they're going to be. They're probably going to be a very slow melody. I don't know which tonguing exercise I'm going to do, but I'm going to do single tonguing, triple tonguing, and double tonguing. It's probably going to come from the Arbans, and it's probably going to be a variation when I do the triple tonguing and the double tonguing, because I love playing music, and I despise playing exercises.
Right.
It's I don't despise it, but I like playing music versus exercises. Exercises are great, absolutely, and you absolutely need them for many, many different things, but it's so much more fun to play music. And the back of the Arbans, that's the thing that I said, when I do take time off, it's going to come from the Arbans. It's going to be all those solos. I just play all of the solos in the back of the Arbans, just like kind of get my face back into shape. I also do the top tones for the trumpeter. Love that book. It's such a great book. Such a head cutter, you know. It's like there's a line in the sand whenever you play these things. Like you can or you can't, and I love playing them.
It's a pretty humbling experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same thing with Charlier.
Yeah, man.
Love those.
So what about like that dexterity stuff that we're talking about? Like, because that's so critical to euphonium playing.
That's exactly what I was saying earlier about euphonium players studying with not euphonium players. We forget how many notes really, you know, this Zelda piece that I played you a snippet of.
Oh yeah, some of that later stuff is
right. But it's not even a big deal. Like this is like I was saying, late high school, early college. We should be playing. Not we should be, but it's important to get to a point where you can play theme and variations or turn of the century solos with great style, great emphasis, and making it sound fun without it being too challenging, like the Napoli solo. Um, I have that, just like logged into my memory bank, and my fingers do it without me even having to think about it because I've done it so many times and for so many years. But it really keeps the dexterity up. I also broke this finger about 13 years ago, so it's less strong than my other fingers, and I have to keep it. I have to work on my third finger.
Yeah.
And I remember Dr. Bowman getting on my case about that, about having a lazy third finger. So I actively worked on the strength of my third finger versus my ring finger versus my pointer and my middle finger.
Yeah.
So
Wow. Yeah.
yeah, so there, I mean, lots of dexterity work, especially there's plenty of stuff in the Arbans, there's plenty of stuff in the Clark studies, chromatic scales. It sounds a little boring, so play music with that stuff. If that, let me drink some water. If that sounds boring to you, then play music. Play out of the Arbans. There's tons and tons of music in there. Or play out of the Saint Jacome. If many people aren't familiar with the Saint Jacome, it's just as complete a
Like anthology
of music and etudes, and some of them are tapeworms that just go on forever. I don't know if you've seen some of those etudes in the Saint Jacome, but they're great for face. They're always tonal. They're always, you can always be able to sing them, and you just keep going. Just keep shredding, and I love the Saint Jacome. That's another one that helps me get back into shape. So.
yeah. No, that's awesome. I don't know if you're up to it, but since we're talking about some of this kind of stuff, you mentioned that you might be willing to play a little bit more of that Zelda.
Oh yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
absolutely.
then maybe we can talk a little bit more about like the instrument itself, but it's just so fun to get to hear you play some of this.
Cool. Yes, and I think I still have. So I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah, do
Right?
it.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Oh gosh, it's so fun to see you play that live again, in addition to all the times I've watched you play it now from your recital.
There you go. It's a
Also,
little.
it's
It's a little.
interesting because like hearing the tempo and all that kind of like stylistic differences between this compared to what you did last week or whatever. Like it's so interesting to hear the same player playing it like a few different ways.
Yeah, this one it's a little more. How would you say? Uh, Measured.
A little reserved.
A little reserved, yes. I
Yeah.
like to play with a little more reckless abandon, and it's also hard to follow someone you can't see. It's
Yeah.
like,
We'll definitely have to link the recital so that everybody can check it out
yeah,
because
that'd be
it was
awesome.
so awesome and
Thank you. Yeah,
exciting to listen to.
yeah, it's a good piece.
Yeah.
Good piece. Matt Van Emmerich did a really good job, and they're beautifully done. Like, so
Yeah.
they're really easy to
Where
read.
can people purchase these from? Is it on
I think it's
yeah,
mattvanemmerich.com or something like that.
cool with that too.
I could try to find it.
Oh, I got it.
Okay, cool.
Appreciate it.
So yeah,
I'm
it's
just
a
gonna make it 'cause
great piece.
it's so good. Let's see. Music. Here we go.
Yeah.
Thanks, Matt Dynamic, for all of your hard work. Um, so everybody's like replying in the comments about how good it sounds because it's amazing.
Cheers, y'all.
And you like we weren't necessarily talking about doing like that much playing, but it's just so fun to listen to.
Thanks.
How am I going to say no?
Thank you. Thank you.
So, you know, we've been working together for a while now because it was like kind of from the ground level with developing this.
Right.
Still, we're talking about euphonium development because there's so much to be said and so much to do. So maybe if you don't mind telling us a little bit about what your thoughts are about the instrument and, you know, some of the process since you were so integral in putting it together.
Yeah, it started with a colleague of yours named Chuck Kerrigan, and Chuck is a Eastman low brass rep
Yeah.
for the entire world, I think.
Yeah, he's a little
Yes,
bar specialist.
he's a low brass specialist for Eastman, and I was mailed an instrument by the Eastman company and asked to review it, and I had a lot of thoughts about how it could be improved and what could happen, and um, it I spoke a lot about the qualities of the sound and the qualities of the intonation and the qualities of the response and whatnot. And I think it spoke to Ryan Richman a lot because what I did was I did a video review and I was really appreciative that I was listened to. And that brought me in contact with James Monahan, and James works at Shires itself, and we talked about, well, we talked a lot about what kind of instrument we wanted, and we wanted a sound that was really dense and rich, that would create a sound that is supportive in the concert band. So there's a lot of different styles of euphoniums out, and they make a lot of different sounds, and that's awesome. Variety is the spice of life. The job that we get to do in the concert bands in the United States, in Europe, there's lots of concert bands. What the euphonium does is act as a chameleon in the concert band. So if you look even at our excerpts, let's take a trumpet audition. It's full of a lot of solos and a lot of melodies and a lot of lines that are the most important.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at a tuba audition, you will find almost every excerpt is a supporting role excerpt. They might be difficult, they might be challenging, but they are tuba excerpts. They are based on what the tuba does. This can be said about almost every instrument. The clarinet, the bassoon, maybe not so much the bassoon, but the euphonium does all of those things. So we have solo excerpts, we have section excerpts that are based on different sections. So if you take an excerpt like Pineapple Paul, we have to sound as rich as a bass clarinetist sounds playing those lines, with that kind of density of sound and that kind of clarity. Same thing goes for, let's say we play the excerpts from Holst's E-flat suite, which would be basically an upper octave of the tuba. If the chaconne, the first movement of the E-flat, has basically an upper octave of the tuba, if not even the same notes. So you want to have a really supportive upper octave of the tuba sound. Then we play, let's say, a trombone excerpt. We would play in the Marine Band, we often use the Pines of Rome, and you want to sound in that big, huge ding, dun, dun, da, dee, da, dee, dee. You want to sound just like a trombonist, not the same kind of quality, but you need to add to that sound. You're not making a trombone sound, but you're adding the euphonium sound to that, no vibrato. Then we have solo excerpts. We have the solo from Schoenberg. What I'm trying to say is that we are a chameleon that plays with other sections, and most of our excerpts are like that. There are many solo excerpts, but most of them are section with that one, or with the reeds, or the trumpets, or the lower octave of the cornets, or we're playing along. Nothing displays this better than Stars and Stripes. Everybody plays the opening, then the euphonium plays the tuba part, the woodwind part, the tuba part, the woodwind part, the trumpet part, the trombone part, and this is all in the first strain. So you have to have a sound that is dense, clear, and able to support each one of those sections. And when it wants to pop out and play a solo, it can do that as well, because you have a great bell on this thing. So basically, what we came up with was this instrument, and I think the intonation of this is just fantastic. And the Q series is, I was so lucky that, Sam, you came down and you had me able to try out 4 horns.
Yeah, we brought down a bunch of stuff. Yeah. And plus, I remember a day at ATW, even before we got to that point, where you and I were sitting in the middle of the exhibit hall with all these trombone players around us. You're like, here, do you hear this? Do you listen? Do you hear this? And like,
right.
Dude, there's like 150 trombone players who are all like also players. But yes, I do. I totally get what you're talking about. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Right. I know that we had conversations at, we were also at the not only ETW but also the main trombone workshop. What's that one called?
ITF. Yeah.
ITF. Yes, that one. So that one we also discussed the horn and stuff. But what we have in front of me is a sound that I think is flexible enough to do the brass banding type things, especially with the Q40 line. But this one has enough of a breadth of sound that I'm able to really just blend in with lots of different sections. One of the things that I absolutely love about this instrument is I feel like on many, many instruments, the I don't know what it's due to, but the sound has kind of like a upper limit, and it has this euphonium quality, and it's done. You know, it tries to push against this limit. And then there's there are instruments that can push way past that euphonium, that really central core euphonium sound, push way past it and really get into blastissimo, but then lack the density and quality of character in the middle register and have like the supporting sound that we're always looking for in concert band. Remember, euphonium players don't hire other euphonium players. It's always some director who probably didn't play euphonium, and the other brasses. They listen to you as well. So we're just trying to create a sound that is, well, I am trying to create a sound that my conservatory trained fellow musicians also would enjoy. You know what I'm saying? Like the tuba player that went to IU, the trombone player that went to Curtis, the trumpet player that went to Northwestern, it's yada, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The French horn player that went to Rice. This, you see what I'm saying? All of these people have it's not that they have similar pedagogy, but they have a similar understanding of what is a great sound on their instrument. So I want to create that on my euphonium as well. So I found instruments that could really blast or really have a bright color, beautiful, really fly off the stage, lacking that rich, dense quality in the middle register. But what I love about this is I can finally get to that trombone color, the kind of the push past the edge of the sound and have just now I can sparkle, but also maintain a rich, supportive sound quality. This is so cool in small ensemble.
I was going to ask you, maybe like you could talk about like some of the brass quintet stuff or hybrid or something.
Right. So bringing that into what I get to do with high bridge or what I get to do with my small brass quartet called Dominion Brass Quartet is change the sound in ways based on the character that I'm playing. Especially in chamber music, we all know that that's probably some of the most, or not we all know, it's probably some of the most rewarding music we all get to play, because you take on a responsibility all of your own and you get to participate, and it's really active. And this gets to just be such a chameleon in that ensemble itself. In high bridge, it gets to be the upper octave of the tuba and just blend right into that tenor horn. And just, you can even hand off lines with cornets with this horn. You know, just a beautiful line. In our record, high bridge brass, you can sometimes it's indiscernible when one line gets handed to the next, and it's because of this amazing conical quality that's created from the cornet down to the tuba. And same thing with my brass quartet. This acts as a bass voice for two cornets, alto horn, and euphonium. And this acts as a bass voice, but it also sometimes gets solos. And this does a marvelous job of doing, of blending in that sound and making it maybe much more bassy and having a richer, wider approach versus the thick, dense, pointed aspects that we want to play with in concert band just so we can get heard. Yeah, so
no, it's funny too because Matt Summers is watching. Hi, Matt Summers.
Hello, Matt Summers.
And he was saying he totally agrees. Euphonium volume ceiling, be present without sounding too loud, yet be able to come to the fore when necessary. Trombone color palette and a big conical horn. It's totally true. It's really and it's weird, like dichotomy of personalities that you all have as euphonium players have to have access to so many different places.
And it's something that many of us, if you remember, college band or your band director being like, euphoniums, it's too much, and it's not necessarily that we're playing too loud or too soft. It's that we have this one color, I love that about this instrument, is no longer playing with one color. I'm very grateful to have won my job and to be in the position that I'm in. But now I get to kind of be a little bit more individualistic and have just a beautiful, beautiful sound with a well-made instrument. I love holding the horn. I love playing it. It's awesome. I'm lucky that my gig bag has a space enough for my fourth valve. So I actually took the stopper off, and I
Oh,
just have it. Yeah, so I just have it. My gig bag is perfect. The stopper works great. It's perfectly fine. It's just I'd rather just have it, just like everybody else has their valves up all the time. It's not necessary to have one valve down. It does. I will say, from every instrument I've ever played, because the valve has to stay down in gig bags, the pads get worn away much faster, and so you have a really loud fourth valve, like clang, clang, clang. So I'm
and
glad I don't have to do that.
of some other like things. So I should say too. So we have the Q41, which is what Hiram's playing on, and that's available in medium or large snake. Hiram would say that medium is the only way to go. There are other schools of thought there too, but we offer both. And then the Q40, which is a slightly larger bell, and slightly different taper as well. And so that's also available medium or large shank. And you and I have like talked about this a little bit too, and some other players, but we are working on some trigger mechanisms, so that will be something that's available for players as well.
Wow.
So that'll be kind of cool too. You'll be able to order a horn with trigger, or we're going to have like trigger available so a repair tech can put it on if somebody has a horn.
Wow. Okay.
So
Very cool.
James has been working really hard with our team on that development stuff too. So, but
All
it's
right.
been really fun to get to spend time with the low brass and euphonium community. Like for me as a trumpet player, it's like a whole new world
Yeah.
of like exciting stuff and people who are just so devoted to the craft.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think it's awesome to have such a well in tune instrument that really kind of can soar over an ensemble. Um, I've had the opportunity to play this in a lot of different groups, and from the Marine Band to High Bridge Brass to soloing in front of the Army Band to the Dominion Brass Quartet to a bunch of with the Harrisburg Symphony.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story about the Harrisburg Symphony. I played Planets with them, and that's a rather loud euphonium excerpt. It's really aggressive. I wouldn't even call the solo in Mars a melody. It's just bang, 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 bangity, bangity, bang. It's just really, it's just, it's just mean, right? So I geared up and I started playing, and the bass trombonist basically turned to me. He's like, "We have got to get you away from me."
Oh my
He
gosh.
just couldn't. It was.
Funny.
I had to literally turn my seat so
Yeah.
it wasn't getting that sound out there. It came out great. Everybody loved it. Could really soar over the entire orchestra. I had a recording of it. They posted a recording of it online. They removed it since, but Harrisburg posted a recording, and you can hear the sound of the horn just carrying right over the entire orchestra. Huge,
Yeah.
the Planets Orchestra is enormous. There's massive amounts of winds. I think there's 6 horn parts. It's a huge wind section, like double reeds, tons of double reeds, tons of flutes as well. So it's and a huge orchestra. I think there's 2 sets of timpani in it, so it's huge, and you can hear the euphonium just fine. Just fine.
Matt just commented that it's a war horn.
War horn, yes. This is the sounding of war. Here we go, guys.
Players, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Brandon Hawkins just asked a question if we're going to be doing more euphonium development and into our custom series, and yes, we are. So that's going to be fun. We're working on some stuff. I hope that we'll have some stuff for the euphonium community to see by the time we have another iTech.
And what's really great is Shires has been super upfront and works with their artists so much. And I have asked, all artists ask for the moonshot. Like, I want this, and I want this, and I want this. And we all have to meet in the middle for what are the capabilities. And it's awesome to have that conversation with Shires, because they try. They like, this is okay. We hear you, we see you. We understand what you want. Here's what we're able to do, and we actually know this because you're just a euphonium player. We actually know that this is what's happening when you do such and such to this part. So there's lots of information out there, and there's lots of great players playing lots of great equipment all over the world.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling very, very fortunate that we have this relationship based on education and and a back and forth and a really open dialogue. So I think that's what's going to come out of the custom series, is these really amazing horns that would be suited for you. There's a lot that can be done, and yeah, it's a great dialogue to have with you guys, James.
It's really fun to be able to pick your brain, talk to Matt and Emmer, talk to Bento, talk to, Brandon, all these incredible players, and see what the euphonium community is looking for. And we feel really, really thrilled and confident with our Q series. It's an amazing horn. And the custom series will just, like on the trombone and the trumpet side of things, just take it another step further. So we don't have an immediate plan to have like a production model available come January 1st, for example. But I do think that we're going to have some stuff that people will maybe having an opportunity to see when the world gets somewhat back to normal in 2021. So
right.
It'll be fun. I know you were like, we're hoping to get you up to the shop, and things are like a little bit closed. In terms of like allowing people to come to the factory.
Right.
But James Monahan's working really hard on euphonium development.
Awesome.
So
awesome.
It's going to be a really fun process. So yeah. Well, man, this has been a total blast. It's always fun for me to get to pick your brain and listen to you play and have you do these clinics and things, because it's so comprehensive, and it's not just about euphonium, it's about music in general. And I really appreciate that.
Thanks. Yeah. Awesome.
It's
good to talk to you.
Yeah. So we have, I'm trying to think, I think we have 2 more of these clinics through the end of the year. We're going to do a Q series tenor trombone with Koichiro Yamamoto. So that'll be really fun. I think that's next week on Thursday. And then we're going to also debut our brand new Q series piccolo trumpet. So excited. And that's going to be with Nancy Taylor. And that's, I think it's the 17th. That's a Thursday, something like that.
Wow.
So it's been really fun to get to highlight our amazing Q series instruments and our fantastic artists. But these have just been really fun for us to be able to reach out to the community and have people excited and give them something hopefully inspirational to look at and listen to, and then go back to the woodshed.
Yeah.
So thanks to everybody who is watching today and who will watch in perpetuity on YouTube and Facebook later on. And thanks to you, Hiram. Really appreciate it.
All right. Cool.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time. All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. See you.